Welcome back to Shittywebcomics Weekly, brought to you by your Subscribe Star backers. Donate to reclaim your Hyperborean Yakubian birthright. Uh, and also get access to all these super secret videos that are literally, unironically, prophesizing what everyone else will be saying
More
in the
important
coming
than your
years.
Hyperborean birthright is get access to our videos.
That's way more important. You get access to our videos. You also, I guess, you get access to the fucking portal in Antarctica that actually takes you to Hyperborea. But you know what? That's like the consolation prize for that's second place.
Yeah, it's just in case.
Yeah. That's more importantly than that. You get access to our extra videos that are way better than these mere Shitty Webcomics Weekly episodes, even though these Shitty Webcomics Weekly episodes are probably the best videos in the history of YouTube. By far, not even close. I mean, that's not even my opinion. It's just fact. It's science. And you do trust the science, don't you?
Some of the best people who have ever done videos have been, they've had just as hard of a time of getting published as we have.
I mean, well, fucking they to the extent that they don't even get deplatformed as often, constantly false flagged by mentally ill people and so on. But again, that's all making some goofs on shit that is very well detailed and proven on our Subscribe Star videos too. So if you really want to know more about that, if you want to know the secrets that the internet is trying very hard to keep from you, donate to our Subscribe. Unironic, that's not even a joke. Donate to our Subscribe Star to find out what everyone else is lying to you about.
Yeah, the other stuff is like funny haha gags. That is just, it's so outlandish it sounds like a joke, but
It's just
it's
goofing
just
around.
really the truth. And it doesn't make me happy to say any of that.
Yeah,
It makes me sad.
it's not ego or vanity. But anyways, speaking of which, talking about our ancestor, I guess technically, many of our ancestors in a way, getting back to Yakub, the Yakubian lore in this comic, telling his story, very reminiscent of R. Crumb, how R. Crumb would tell some very fascinating historical tales through his comics. And there's a lot of people who should sort of take a hint from that and learn how to tell stories that have never been told or shown before. This
I
is a
mean,
great
won't you want to,
example of that.
if you read enough stories, won't you want to read something original instead of just the same shit over and over? The same lukewarm, warmed over cape shit over and
Yeah,
over?
why read about just some superhero who's like, I am going to fight this bad guy who is bad. Instead, it's like, look at the intricate lore of what has happened with Yakub and the ultimate tragedy, the eternal tragedy of how Yakub just wanted to be respected by the other royal divine ebenoids. In a way, Yakub, of course, has his divinity. And yet, what does divinity amount to when he can create such horrific monster demon devils? As we see about to pay off here, the first panel, Yakub is cornered by the white devil race that he created. And he says, "Oh, my beloved children, I have witnessed your destruction of Mecca, and my heart swells with pride." Pride, which is for sure based, isn't it? It's pretty cool. Um,
Proud,
proud,
proud.
proud.
I'm going to make you so proud.
I don't see you getting a LeBaron, Freddy. Anyway, so Yakub says, "What a blessing it is for such a father to watch his sons display such magnificent strength, such exquisite, beautiful cruelty." Which
Sounds a little
sounds
gay,
like
actually.
something a
Why
person with
Yakub sounds
divinity
kind of
would
gay here?
say. Isn't that cool? That sounds pretty cool. Um, and the next panel, though, is the white devil saying, "This old fool thinks he knows us. Let's kill him." And they say, "Agreed."
I don't
Next
know, they step
panels,
on his sneaker.
yeah, whoopsie daisy.
They
Next,
step on a sneaker. It's the worst thing. This is where the legend, the whole thing
they
about
smudge his
why
puma.
if somebody steps on your shoe at the club, you need to kill them
The
because of
clear
this right
weapon.
here. Because this right here.
This is the ultimate VIP section, is standing on top of a tower that's also a laboratory, that's also the house arrest zone for the world's greatest scientist. There is no more VIP section than that VIP section. But here's like sort of foreground is a veiny, big veiny arm holding like a rock. And it's sort of a teardrop shaped kind of rock. It has a sharp end, but it's also very blunt. And Yakub says, "Well, what? But I'm Yakub. I created you. Don't you know me?" He's pulling the old "Don't you know who I am" move. And the next
The
one is
appeal. It's a classic appeal to authority.
yes, which is very clearly a divinity move, I guess, according to the
It
lore of
seems the
Yakub.
opposite of that, though. It seems very blue pilled and cringe.
Yes, but also yeah, it makes white people look very rebellious and willing to stand up to authority. Very, you know what that makes the white devil race? It makes them a Comanche.
Wow,
Without
Comanches are pretty cool. Comanches are pretty badass.
Lord of the Plains, Lord of nothing now. But the next panel is just Yakub sort of recoiling and cowering and saying, "No, no, I created you. You can't." And the next panel is White Devil saying, "Don't you get it? I must." And the last is raising the stone in the air and saying, "For it is my nature." The
Like
White
the
Devil
scorpion.
race, of course, being the ultimate scorpion. The ultimate force is the scorpion. This is, of course, where Star Trek Voyager got the entire premise for that whole. Was it season 3 or 4 ending?
It was like the end of season 3. It's the
What was
whatever.
Scorpion?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, the ending of season
Pretty
3.
sure.
It's funny
Pretty sure.
because
I'm a little behind on my Star Trek
Because
Voyager.
I was like, Voyager should have been so good, but it was like, so should have TNG. TNG sucked so bad until season 3, and Voyager also sucked until season 3, until the actually season 3 sucked of Voyager until the end, and then they brought in 7 of 9, which interestingly enough actually introduced like the most interesting character along with the added dynamic to the best Doctor episodes were after season 3, basically. That's when Lifeline and Author and fucking whatever. That shit was so good. But anyways, the next page is just one panel, and it shows Yakub with his gigantic head and a blood stain and like the apparently no skull because his brain was so huge he just didn't even have a skull, and it's just sort of exposed, sort of like Mojo Jojo.
That's a great example.
Where he's laying out on like the apparently the roof of the tower, and Yakub is dead, and it says, "Thus ends the story of Yakub, killed by the hand of his own creation." Again, reminiscent of Mojo Jojo, which who's to say which came first? I guess the Yakub story supposedly came before Powerpuff Girls. Whatever, I don't know. Who cares? Does anyone care? I don't know. Probably not.
I don't even have an opinion.
Yes.
Worse than not caring.
So, speaking of Yakub, I don't even have an opinion. You gotta think that God came down and stopped that stone.
You think Yakub just came down and stole your Hyperborean super state, or your access to the Hyperborean paradise?
I don't think so.
Then
I don't
sure you
even have an opinion. The voice of Vamp, of all people. Phil Lamar, very, very talented. Again, fucking gotta give props to Phil Lamar for some reason out of nowhere, even though he has absolutely nothing to do with this comic.
Was that Phil Lamar?
Well, yeah, Phil Lamar was Marvin, who gets his fucking head blown off in the car.
One line.
And he was also Vamp in MGS2.
he was a bunch of other great voice acting roles in many video games.
Yeah, video games and other TV. He was in Futurama. He did voices in, well, Rick and Morty, of course, but a slight downside. But I mean, I think he also did voices in Star Trek Lower Decks, which oddly enough is better than Rick and Morty. Isn't that weird?
It doesn't surprise me that it would be better than Rick and Morty. It is Star Trek after all.
Although it was created, Star Trek Lower Decks was created by one of the guys. I think one of the head writers or something from Rick and Morty. Speaking
not
of head
Justin
writers,
Roiland, though, and not Dan Harmon.
Not to be not Justin. Justin punched the shit out of your wife. Which, I mean, if anything, Justin Roiland kind of basted with red sauce pills, perhaps. I don't know. You know, that's not my opinion. It's just speculation.
Just get further away from both of them, and you're going to be better off, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. That's why Star Trek Lower Decks has there's a lot of defense that can be made for it, aside from the first couple of episodes of the entire show, which are just dog shit. Mariner was almost one of the worst characters in the entire franchise, but it's interesting because, again, it depends on the episode. But some episode, you can tell a good episode of Star Trek Lower Decks when Mariner gets utterly dunked on and made fun of, and you can tell shitty episodes when it's about praising her.
Oh boy, that's gonna be good.
Yeah,
and yeah, it is an absolute certainty.
It's an easy barometer of quality for Star Trek Lower Decks. Does it praise Mariner in any way? If it doesn't, it's a good episode. If it does,
you can usually tell
episode.
within the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, yes.
You can tell in the first 2 minutes if they're going to go and
although at any point in the episode, if they do it.
Yeah, just saying. Watch the first few minutes. Just give it give it a chance.
Well, here's what I would do: skip the first 2 episodes of the entire show entirely.
Surprises I've ever had as far as big time media has gone, just in decades.
Yeah, is that Star Trek Lower Deck? Because again, one of the worst trailers in history, and the worst first couple of episodes. But again, if you go by TNG, the first episode of TNG is just dog shit, and the second one is even worse, and then the third one is even more worser. It just keeps getting shittier and shittier. And it's if you go to Basics in Basics 1 and 2, part 1 and 2 of Star Trek Voyager.
Or TNG. I think you said TNG. Excuse me, you said TNG.
It's a fucking whatever. But Basics in Voyager is just such a fucking dog shit episode.
Honestly, I don't remember what you said either. I know that.
No, but TNG, the first episode of TNG is Encounter at Farpoint, or also known as Encounter at Farscape, as fucking Rich Evans would say. But it's one of the shittiest episodes. And the very next episode is fucking The Naked Now, which is
even worse.
Yeah, the one where they all get drunk and fucking Wesley solves the fucking whole thing by he's such a genius. And it's gay. Anyways, and Wesley
accepted that because it was on accident. These are all very important elements of the Yakub conversation.
Yes. Well, that's the thing, is that Wesley is nothing. Wesley is a pale shadow of Yakub. After all, Wesley ultimately came from Yakub and is still nothing compared to Yakub, even though we're looking right now at Yakub dead.
He never invented an entire species.
Yeah. Wesley could never even Wesley combined with the Traveler could never do that. Could never do such a thing. Because it sucks. So.
It sucks.
He sucks. So anyways, if you want to be like Yakub and reclaim your Hyperborean heritage, donate to our Subscribe Star. Like, unshare, reshare, unshare, unshare. And for everyone else, should have listened to Shitty Webcomics.